Welcome to this week's edition of What Happened to the Orlando Pirates. I feel like we keep talking about Orlando Pirates every single week. It's them winning, it's them losing, it's them winning. It's them winning again this past weekend, winning the big one, actually. Orlando Pirates are MTN8 champions. Chuck, welcome to Two Up Front. This is what actually this is. Orlando Pirates are MTN8 champions. What do you make of the game against Amazulu? What do you make of the result and the importance of that result for the Ghost?
There's a UFC guy who says in Brazil there's a saying, right? And this is the guy who beat Israel Adesanya, and he beat him twice. One was controversial. The other time he knocked him out, and they're going now to fight in the UFC. And he says he's got the upper hand. He says there's a saying in Brazil that says he who was beaten never forgets. So you put it in my face, but a week later, boy, my response is Mudimur feed. So MTN8 champions, we did it for ourselves. Amongst all the doubt, amongst all the voices of the haters, we did it for ourselves.
What is
Pirates,
this? What is
Pirates,
this?
just every week we're going to dominate. If there was another cup next to Chronicle Cup, we're going to talk about Pirates again.
Chuck, please talk about the one title you've won. The first in a couple of years, second in 8 years.
Don't be telling me about like
if there is another cup, you're going to be.
In the context of this season, but good performance by Pirates. It's always a good performance if you see it through and you win the title, regardless of what the other team was doing. If you see it through, good performance by Pirates. I think what was good is that we spoke about how Pirates didn't adapt tactically when they played against Chiefs, and they were an open book and they got found out. But in this game, you found in many situations, especially because of the formation as well, they were playing 4-4-2. Saleng wasn't stuck out wide. Sometimes he came into the center to affect play in Nalapo. You found Uguti Miguel Tim played well as well, got man of the match. Applause for Umswari, who I think was off color like this entire season, lost his form as well from last season as well. It was a partnering of Tim Nomusela that we got used to at Pirates. Muswara comes into the final, doesn't do a bad job at all, and sees the game out. Props to Umunyani as well, who was delivering the crosses, who keeps Ushando out the side. And I think that was an outlet that allowed Usaleng to come back in because Umunyani would overlap just due to the formation changes. So overall, they played very well. On Amazulu's side as well, the coach said that he was disappointed that they didn't start off like a house on fire, which is what they did in the league game. When you look at the league game that they played about 2-3 weeks ago, where Amazulu started well and they were the better team in the first half. This time in the final, they're the better team in the second half because they were looking for the equalizer to get back into the game. But I think a lot of components, man, that let them down because Mkaula and Maluleke are very good, like in the Amazulu midfield. If you look at their league form, the Pirates are only 2 points above Amazulu, and so they're quite close, you know. And it was one of the more evenly contested finals that you'd see this early in the season. So I think well done to Pirates. They did their job. I think winning mentality as well. I think maybe it's because they kept him the guys as well, because it was his team that got to the final last season in Africa. They didn't see the job out. A lot of the boys were there in the side now. Saleng were playing, but good job by the team.
So it was an ugly final, in my opinion.
Yeah,
in terms of what it looked like, it was not the best watch at all. And part of the reason is because in terms of Amazulu, Amazulu did not play at all. Part of the reason they did not play is because of that tactical change. So I was on here the previous week talking about the fact that the Pirates coach needs to adapt because we saw what Chiefs did with their 3-2 in the middle, where they boxed in Pirates' two midfielders.
Yeah.
In this game against Amazulu, Ben Mutwari comes into the game. So he's now sitting with Utim. And this then does give allowance to Undlondo to be freer to affect the play further up the pitch. So with how they packed the midfield, Abu Malulega and the likes, they didn't get to actually play in the middle of the park. Where Amazulu were trying to get their game going, you saw between Mobara and Hanamo, they were playing long balls into Chirikwem as well as Umango, hoping that they can run onto those balls or they can chase them down and then try to fashion a chance. But that was also made impossible by Unda. Like, Nda had a phenomenal game in that first half, especially him and Tim. Like, in that, they were controlling the game. Nothing was going past to Tim, and if he was not close enough to affect play or to turn the ball over, then it was going to the feet of Umhango. But then there was no way past Nda, as I'm saying, in this particular game. Even with Usbisi going down, Mahanga was supposed to get a red card for that. Like if we did have VAR and that was something that was reviewed, Mahanga was going off the pitch. Specie goes down, and you wonder, are they going to be able to recover from this? Because now that back three is down to the one, because Maela also wasn't playing in this game because of his injury in the previous game. And you have the Numako who comes into that into that back four, but he's not a center back. But then the adaptation was quite brilliant, because Mako does give you a little more going forward, and there was still that stability at the back in the back four, and with Utim and with Mtswari sitting in front of that defense. And as I'm saying, that negated absolutely everything that Amazulu wanted to do in possession. I was a bit surprised that Buchanan didn't make it onto the pitch, because in terms of progressive passes, as I'm saying, it does come from the left centre back. It comes from the left back as well, but also it does come from Buchanan when he's playing in that midfield. Tumsane Zuma comes on a little later, but then he's not yet quite found his feet at Amazulu in terms of the best form we saw him display at Kaizer Chiefs. Yeah. So the moment that Pirates took the lead. And as the stat goes, like, I think in the 11 games where they've taken the lead, they've won 10, and the one game they've drawn. So they are absolutely brilliant front runners. You do not want to be chasing the game against Orlando Pirates. And the moment that happened, that game was over, similar to the game against Mamelodi Sundowns, you know? And that played exactly into the hands of Orlando Pirates and the coach, and exactly what they want to do. They controlled the game for the rest of it. And as I'm saying, the quality from Amazulu never quite got to a point where they could trouble Orlando Pirates. And looking at the goal itself, it's amazing. That's the kind of goal that Pule is always trying to score. Whenever there's a free kick on the right-hand side, Pule is always going for goal. And it never quite get there. With the goal that was scored by Usaleng, who's going to end up as like the last man standing, the player of this particular tournament. Definitely. And it was apropos that he scored the goal to take Pirates to the promised land, because he's been that guy, especially in this tournament and of late in the Pirates lineup. But questionable from the Amazulu goalkeeper. You should judge the flight a little better, even though I do feel as if that ball did take a dip, at the very end. And maybe Pirates were owed a goal like that, where the keeper is floundering, looking for the ball. But I mean, it was, as I'm saying, not the best of games. But ultimately, in terms of what Orlando Pirates wanted to do, in terms of the things that they implemented tactically, they won that game. They went and won that game.